this video we can talk about how to develop a Spring Boot application with the help of the Spring Data JPA. So each and everything we can discuss in this video, like how to do the setups. So first things we can do the setup. Okay, setup for the Spring Data JPA. So how we can do the setup, each and everything with the codes, and we can create the project and we can discuss about it. Okay, so let's start now. So what we have to do is, first we have to do the setup. So while doing a setups, what we can do is, let me remove this. Okay, and for doing the setup, first thing is we needed is create the Spring. What are the tables are utilizing, or what are the tables we are going to use in our project. So that tables we have to create first. Okay, so I am going to create one tables. Okay, so first thing is, make sure you have to create the tables. Create tables in database. Okay, so if you are using the MySQL workbench, you can easily create the tables with the help of the UI. Let me open the MySQL workbench, which we have installed in the last session. Okay, so let's open the MySQL workbench. Okay, so what we can do, we can create one table inside this. How we can create the table? So we have a command, create table name. So for example, you are creating a employee table, employee employee table. So this is the employee table names. Then after, you have to provide the what are the columns you are going to define inside this table. So maybe you have a table called EMPID, which is employee ID, which is maybe the integers or varchar, anything, or numbers. So we can write int. Okay, it is MySQL, then int. It is Oracle, then you can go with the numbers, and you can provide the number also, like 2 or 3. So based on the database, you can create your tables. Okay, and we have to make this key as a primary key. So we can write primary primary key. Okay, then after, we can go with the next column. Our next column is nothing but employee name. So emp underscore name, right? It should be a varchar, or you can write a small varchar also. Varchar, what is the size for this column? So maybe 23 or 24, anything. Okay, next column is maybe the employee salary. So emp salary, it should be something called number only or double. So you can go like that, numbers, and we can provide like first is 10 digit and 2 dot. That is enough. So like that, we can create the tables in our database. Okay, then what we can do, once you create the tables, now what you have to do is, you have to create a Spring Boot application with the below dependency. So I will tell you the dependency called maybe the Spring Boot starter JPA, MySQL drivers, and project Lambak, which is helping us to create the project. Okay, so create a Spring Boot project. Okay, but before going to create a project, what we can do is, we can create a table in our workbench first. So this table I want to create, so I will go to the workbench, and we are going to open the root localhost 3306, and inside this we have already created one database called SB001. Okay, so inside the SB, what we can do is, this is the place where we can put our query. Okay, okay, what I have copied, something wrong. Yeah, maybe. So if you see here, just copy this and paste it here. But it's saying like number is not recognized, so we can write like that. NUMBR number, which is maybe 10 or 5. Employee ID numbers. So create table employee ID, employee name, employee salary. So this is our format or structures of the tables, we can say. NUMBR numbers. NUMBR number is not a valid position, expecting begin binary bit blob. Okay, like that saying. So EMP ID, EMP name, EMP salary we have given, that is fine. But here it's saying like you can't get like that number. So let it be int. So if I write a int, it will also ask to modify it and write a int. Okay. If I not write, I will write a double. Double. It will support inside the our tables. So that is also fine. No issue. Right? If I write capitals, it will also supporting. That is also fine. So it's depend like what you are giving here. Okay, so it's always depend the database. If you are going with the Oracle database, then definitely you have to write the numbers instead of the integers or doubles. And if you are using the what we call MySQL database, then different formats. So data type may be the different, but everything is same only. So these things you have to remember. So like that you can execute the command to create a table. So you can, what you can do is just click on run. So it will run and it will execute and it will create the tables for you. Okay, so let me select first and just execute it. What is happening? I'm not able to see where project is it's created or not. So let me refresh here and go to the tables and just refresh all. It's not creating a tables, I think. It's saying like executing this command itself, it's giving the error. So create table, employee tables, and employee integer primary key. It's saying like no database selected. So it's saying like you have not selected any database as of now here. So what we can do is we can write our database name here. So SB001 dot employee. So this is our database name. We can write it and we can try to execute one more times. You can see it's running fine. So in the workspace, if you go MySQL workbench, then definitely it will, maybe if it is not selected particular database, it will ask you to select the particular database, because here we are able to have lots of the database, so maybe it says so. Okay, so our table is ready. What we can do, this is the actual table. So let me copy and paste in our notepad. Okay, so above one is for the database oracles, this is for the oracles, and this is for the MySQL. So based on that you can select it. Okay, next thing is like what we can do is we can create a project. Okay, and we have to add the dependency while creating a project, which is first dependency is what we can say Spring Data JPA, Spring Data JPA Second one we can add, which is MySQL driver. We are using the MySQL driver because we are using the MySQL database. If you are using the Oracle, then you have to use the Oracle database driver. Okay, like that you have to configure it. This is the C. So C, we need Lombok. So Lombok I have already explained you very well. So project Lombok we have to add it. Project Lombok. This is the dependencies required. Okay. So what we can do? Let's go to the our STS and create one project. Okay, and try to add those dependency. And then after we can configure our data source, properties file, each and everything we can do. Okay, but first go to the our STS, go to the file, new Spring starter project, and here you can give your project name. So what I'm going to do is our project name is like Spring Boot JPA project. Okay, and let's set be the group and package will be same. That is fine. Go to the next. Here we have a Spring Data JPA. Then after Lombok I want LOM Lombok. Next I want, which is MySQL driver. MySQL driver you can select. If you want Oracle driver, you can search here Oracle driver, ORACLE. So it will give the Oracle driver. Postgre. So you can see PostgreSQL driver. So what are the database you are using? Based on that you can select the drivers dependency. So I have selected Lombok, Spring Data JPA or MySQL driver. That's it. These three dependency I want as of now. I will click the next and I will finish it. Simply it will create my project, which is Spring Boot JPA. Okay, it's importing it. Then after what we can do is we can configure the data source, properties file, everything, and then we can create a entity class. We can map with our tables, each and everything we can do. Okay, so if you see here our project is ready, it's created. But if you run this project right now, so we can see some error. Okay, let me show you. So if I go and if I run this project, what is the error I'm going to say is like what are the dependency I have added. So based on that dependency, they will ask me like give me the configurations, but we have not provided configuration as of now. Okay, so they will ask like give me the data source URL, user ID, password, but we have not provided yet. So it will give the error, it will not start our application. So once you give it, then only your application will be started. Okay, so these things you have to make sure when you are adding the dependency, what are the required configurations you have to give. Please give it, otherwise you can see the error and you can confuse it each and everything. So this is the default configuration, Spring application.name, Spring JPA project. Let's go to our notebook, and here the third things what we are going to do is third things we can do like configure. Let me go to the next line. Configure data source, data source properties in application dot properties file. This is very simple work, it's not a big things, we can do easily. Okay, so what we can do is we can go to the our application dot properties files here, and we can provide the configurations of our database. So if you see our database, which is having a URL called localhost double 306, right? And user ID is root, password is root, which we already know, right? So what we can do is here we can write spring dot data source dot URL, right? And we can provide the URL called jdbc colon, you are using the MySQL, then write MySQLs colon double slash localhost, right? Localhost, and what is the port number? 3306. Okay, slash our database name. So what is our database name? SB001. This is our database name, correct, which we have provided. If you go inside this, you can see this is the local host, and if you go inside this, you can see this is our database name, SB001. So those things I have given as a configuration, which is URL jdbc colon mysql colon double slash localhost colon 00 3306 and our database name. Okay, not required. If it is not available, create it. Next thing is like what we can do is we can write spring dot data source dot username we can provide, right? Data source dot username. Okay, so if you see here, it will provide the username. Username, it's saying data source hekari dot username. Why hekari it's adding again? And then you can give root, and then spring dot data source dot password. So it's saying hekari password only, so our password is also root. This is the three configuration which you have to go. If you have some confusion like why hekari I am giving, I also have a confusion because previously I am able to see data source. So let's go to the Google, and we can do some search. A springboard application.properties file configurations. You can just search on the Googles, it will give you a wonderful things here. So just open the MySQLs, and if you go down, they will give you a spring.datasource.url, a spring.datasource.driver class name, a spring.datasource.username root, a spring.datasource.password. So like that you can also provide all those things. Okay, you can change the port numbers, each and everything. This is the another configurations, data source, username and password. Okay, so jdbc colon mysql colon double slash localhost JPA example. This is the database name. This is the driver name. You can provide the driver name also, but it's a optional. I think if you go with the Spring Boot, it will automatically configure each and everything, so no need to provide. Dialect also, it's a optional, you no need to provide it. We learn all those things, but as of now just I'm explaining you. This is different type of the concept we have, but we require these three things, right? What we need? Data source.url. So let me go to that project. Okay, and this is the hekari. So hekari I don't want, right? So hekari I don't want, so I will comment here, I will comment here, I will comment here. So this is the properties file commit. If you want to commit like that, you can commit it. So I think a spring.datasort.password is maybe not it is supporting right now, but maybe later they are going to remove and they will provide with hekari only. If I write here a spring.data source dot username, it's not giving me a suggestion also, it's going to go with the dbcp2 or maybe go with the hekari. So these things previously we are using like that, but it's suggesting different way. So just try, I have cross check it like how we can do it. Okay, we can do with the hekari also, that is also fine, but we have to add some extra configuration, then only we can do it. Okay, so this is the root password, this is our database, and let's try to run our application once again. Okay, so if you see, our application is connected with the database. Okay, so this is the three things which we have to provide: JDBC colon URL, username, password with this details. JDBC is one of the technology, MySQL is database, local host means this current system we are using, and this is the port number, and this is the database which you already know, right? Let's start now. Okay, so this is the basic configurations for the properties file which you have to do for every time when you are going to do work with your database JPA, or maybe any database you have to do the configurations it. Okay, so our configuration part is also done. What next we have to do is, like one configurations is done, then we have to communicate with the database. Okay, we have created the project, we have created the table also, we have created with the table also. If I show you the tables, let me go here, this is our tables. If you see in our tables, there is no record as of now. Okay, so this is the employee table. So let me give select employee, select a star from employee, and if you run this query, you can see there is no details as of now inside this, right? So if it is no details as of now, employee ID, employee name, or any employee salary, so what we can do, we can try to insert the data from our backend applications, right? So let's start now. So what we can do is, we can go to our applications. Okay, our application is just started because of we have added those configurations part. Now what we can do is, we can go and we can create one entity class. We can create one entity class which is going to map with our exactly table name. Okay, which is going to map with our table name. Those things we have to do, which is mapping. So I'm going to create one employee class, employee, and this class I'm going to put inside this entity. So package name I have changed, it's entity, so it's moved to the entity now. Okay, if you see here, it's in the entity. What we are going to do is in this employee class, what are the required things we need? So we need private employee ID, so emp ID, right? Private. Okay, also we have to provide the data type also, so it's an integer. So let's give integers emp ID, or you can take a small or capital, does not matter, anything is fine. Okay, and private string, which is name, string, string, employee name or just name you can say, and private, what is the password type? So our password type is double, if you see here. Okay, so employee salary, which is pass, okay, which is double type. So not anything, it's a double salary. This is the three columns we have in the tables, okay. But right now if you see EMP ID name and our column name is different. EMP underscore ID I have written here, and here I have written in the different way. So that is not a good way. So we have to do the proper mapping also. So first we have to do the table mapping. So what is the table name? Employee tables. Even you can give the capital or a small, does not matters. Okay, it will be fine. So if you want to give this name, you can give it. Employee tables. Let me give this name only. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to here, and in top of the class name I will provide @employee, right, @entity, so that it will become a persistence layer. And after entity I will mention table name. So inside this I will provide the name of table, which is employee table, correct, employee tables. So we have mentioned the table shape. So our employee class is mapped with the table name which is available in our database. Okay, clear? You can give the small or capital, I think does not matters, anything is fine. Okay, next thing is you have to generate the method for that to use it. So we can write one more annotation in top of that, which is data annotations, which is Lombard has provided. So with the help of that we can generate all those getter constructors and required constructors and to a string method, hashcode methods. Okay, so this is the three annotation which is required. Now this is the employee ID, right? So in the employee ID, if I tell you like it's a primary key, right? So primary key we can't give user access to update it, so we can auto generate it. So what we can do, we can write @ID, which is representing as a primary key. You want to generate the value for that, so we can write automatic generate value. So generate value, generated value, that's it, generated value. So it will generate value by 1 2 3 like that, natural numbers by default. Okay, this EMP ID or our database EMP ID, if you see, both are different. So what we can do, we can write it with the help of @column. So we have one column annotations from the persistence only, and here we can provide the name or value. So column name we can provide like EMP_ID, EMP_ID. This is the name which we have given in the database. EMP_ID, EMP name, EMP salary. Okay, in the same way we have to modify all those field names. So what we can do, in top of that, every field we can write it. What we can write, so this is the employee name, this is salary, EMP salary, SALA. Make sure it should be same, otherwise you can get some error. SALARY, salary, EMP_salary. Okay, so each and every table name is mapped with our database. Each and every column name is mapped with our database. Okay, if the table name and is same to same your this class name, then no need to do mapping, right? If for example your this table name, so for example I will go to these tables, and I will do the alter tables. Okay, in the alter tables, what I will do is I will provide the name of my tables. I'm not able to see the options. Table name, and inside the tables we have a lots of the columns, so we can see all the column name also. This is the column name, and okay, no sir, here you can open right. So you are able to see here tables, indexes, trigger, planning, positions, options, all those things. So we can alter the table name also, that is also possible for us. Okay, so what we can do is copy field name, or no, not like that. Alter tables. This is the default properties. Okay, no, it's so fine. Later we can do with that also, so that you can understand better way. I don't want to alter as of now, so that's why I'm not doing. Just I'm seeing the options having or not. Okay, so this is the mapping. If it is the same name having in the table also, then no need to provide this column annotations. Okay, so that things we can do. So our this entity class is ready to map with our database table name. Okay, what next we can do? Next what we can do is we can create one Java class, and we have mapped with the database table, that is fine. Next thing is like create a repository interface by extending the CRUD repository interface and do the operations. Okay, we can create service class also, and with the main method we can test this. Okay, and we can show all those things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create right now. Okay, I'm going to create right now. Let's close all those things and close this one also. I'm going to create one class called service. So I will give the name called employee service, and this is a service class, so I will annotate at the rate service. Okay, and I will leave it. It should not be entity, it should be service, so I will change the package name called service. Next thing, I want repository, so I will create one interface dot repo and employ a repository or repo, and you can create as a interface. I have created as a class, and you can implement here or extend its interface. So extends CRUD repository, CRUD repository, and here you have to pass two things. So first parameter is type, which type of the data you are going to interact with the database. So I will pass my entity class name, which is employee. Okay, so employee entity, and next parameters we have to pass it, which is id. So id is nothing but here serializables or maybe if it is integer you can pass integer. So right now I am going to pass realizables. Okay, let me minimize it little bit. Are you able to see, I think, properly? So this is our class which we have created, extending the property of the JPA repository. Okay, fine. So our interface is ready, which is going to communicate with our database, and we have passed. So how it's linked? Our entity class is linked with our entity class employee is linked with our repository class. Okay, CRUD repository. CRUD repository having a power to interact with the database. We already configure in the application.properties file data source configuration, so automatically it will happen. Here we are writing one annotation called repository. What we are writing? A repository. So this repository is optional. You can write, you cannot write also, it will work. Okay, so it's a optional, so no need to write it also. Okay, next things, I have created one service class. So go to the service, and from the service I will try to save some data into the database. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one, first inject our repository class here. So write private employee repository. Okay, so employee repo, and just auto add it so that we can get the object of repository. We can do the constructor injection also, but for easiness I am doing just for the learning purpose. Let's create one method which is public void, and going to save data, save employee, and from that what we are going to do is here we are going to save one employee. So we need object for saving the data into the database. We need object, so we can tick the object with the help of this one. So we can create one employee or e we can pass, or employee you can pass, that is also fine. And here what we can do is we can write with like this repository employee repo having all those methods. So employee repo, we can take the help of the employee repo dot employee repo dot what in the CRUD repository having all those value. So we can take the help of the employee repo dot what we have to do, save. So we can write a save annotations, and we can pass our employee. Okay, it will take those employee, it will store in the database. Once it is inserted, we can do some other operations based on our requirement. It's going to return something called employee object, which is saved in the database. Those employee we can display on the console. Okay, so what we can do, we can write s out or save, not save, we can say employee emp, that's it. Correct. Employee dot to a string, so you can write, otherwise it's optional, you can do it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this application, it's working or not. Okay, so right now if you see in our tables there is no data, correct, and we have created one service method which is going to save employee, and we are going to pass the employee. Let me open my main class. So from the main class what I'm going to do is I'm going to create context object, so assign to the context, and then after I can take the help of the context object, and I will write context dot get beans of our service class. So employee service dot class, and it will return me the object of the employee service. Okay, employee service, and with the help of the employee service, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one object which is employee object, and I will pass it to the employee service. If you call this method employee service dot save employee, so we need one object to pass here, and those object is nothing but employee object. So first I have to create the one employee object. So employee object, so we can write employee e equal to, or maybe employee first equal to new employee, right? And once object is created, e1 dot set employee id. Employee id we don't want to set it because it's auto generated, so we don't want to do it, take care of anything. So what we can do is we can do employee e1 dot set name. So for name, what I'm going to do is I will provide the name called Amit Kumar, and I will set the salary called something big numbers. Okay, big number is nothing but 2 lakhs. Okay, so this is the salary, and those employee I am going to pass here. Okay, and let's run this project once again for the testing, like it's working fine or not. So once you run this project, what will happen? Let's see the console. Application is started. Application is started, it's running on, and we got some exceptions. So let me see the exceptions. Table SP001 employee tables sequence does not exist. So we don't have any sequence, okay, for this table column name. So what we can do we need to provide the value for that? It's saying like employee sequence does not exist because one of the key we have, which is primary key, and we have not provided any value for that, and we are saying like it's auto generated. So make sure in your system having already one and one what it's a sequence, but right now we don't have. So what we can do, we can write here. Otherwise, let me do one more things, like go to this class and provide the value, and let's see. So I'm going to do e1 dot set employee id 1001. Okay, and let's try to run your project. This time if you get some error, we can see it. Application is running and we are getting the same error, I think. What is the error? Invalid access. Employer sequences does not exist. Okay, no issue. So what we can do is this value we don't want to pass it. Okay, we don't want to pass this value. If you want to pass, then what we have to do is, even it's a primary key, just remove this generated value. Even it's a primary key, just remove this generated value. Okay, so it will not generate the value, and we can pass the value from our test class. Okay, and then let's see. So we are passing the 1001 employee ID, which is primary key, and once you pass it, if you see, it's inserted successfully, I think. So Spring Boot is running, employee MPID is 1001, Amit Kumar, salary is that much. It is inserted in the database. Go to the database, just refresh your tables, and you can see Amit Kumar is inserted in your tables. Okay, so we are not generating the value, we are itself giving the value, but here previously I have written the generated value and we have not created any sequence. So that is the problems. Okay, and from here we are creating one more employee and we are passing it. Okay, if you want to create one more employee, and let's give the name called 2, and here also value 2, Amit, let's Ajit, and here we can give the value called 2 lakh. And now this time we can pass 2. Okay, let's try to run this. Only one object we are going to run and we are going to pass it. It's running on. It's giving some exceptions. 1002 Ajit Kumar, salary 2. Okay, because still we are going to we are not providing the E2 value. So make sure this one also will be updated. Okay. So employee 2, lots of the issue will happen, but you have to be very clear each and everything. Just see the issue and you understood, okay, this is the issue. And like that you have to do the work, right? Then only you can do better. So this is the second record which is inserted in the database. Go to the database and see it. Second record is also inserted. Okay. So as of now we have inserted 2 records, okay, from here. What next we are going to do is let's commit it. So save operations we have done. Okay, we have inserted 2 records in the database and it's done. That's it. Next thing is what we are going to do is we are going to get some data, like what are the records we have stored in the database. Let's read it. So go to the service class, and in the service class itself I'm going to create one method called publics void get all employee. This is one of the methods. And here what we can do is we have a employee repo. So employee repo dot find all, we have a methods. So based on the find by id also we can see. So find by id or find all. So if you want all, then we can go with the find all, and we can read all those data and we can display on the consoles. So this is all employee, and this employee we can display on the consoles. So what we can do, it's returning on the iterables. So I don't want iterables. So what we can do is let's remove it. Find all dot get okay, just find all and just use for each. Okay, no, not like that, if you confuse maybe. So let's go and assign to the new fields, and it's a table, it's showing it, but I will convert it to the list. It should be a list. So what is the issue? Cast lists of the employee. No, I don't want to cast it. So I'll write employee repo dot find all. It's going to give the iterables dot iterate. Okay, so it's returning me a iterator. So what we can do is from the iterator we can read it. Okay, that is also a way to do it. Iterator, enumerators, lots of things we have. So find all will give you the iterators. So for each we can use it also, but let's assign this to one variables and make this name as iterator, and then after iterators we can going to use for loop, and iterators dot has what is the use of this iterable? Okay, it's not a iterator, it's a iterable, which is parent class of all those collections. Okay, that is the issue. So from the iterables, what we can do is iterator dot not providing any methods which is going to, okay, let's apply this one for each, and in the for which what we can do is we can read one employee with the help of the lambda expressions. Okay, and we can write this out, and we can print it out to a strings. Okay, so this is the things we are going to do. Next thing is like in the test class I have already commented those, like save the data. Now I'm going to write employee service dot get all employee, and this call will going to happen now. So let me run this code. So you can see here project is running fine, and we are able to fetch this 2 records. Okay, so 2 records are available in the database as of now. We have inserted and we have fetched it also. If you go and if you insert one more record maybe, so let's go here and just insert 1004 and give the name called Smith, yeah, Raju, and give the salary called 30,000, 3,000, apply and apply it, finish it. So this 3 record is inserted. Now if you run these applications once again, you can see the 3 records. So based on that you can do each and every operations in your database. Okay, so what we have done as of now, we have created the service classes and everything. Okay, so what we have done as of now, we have let's go to the notepad. So we have configured the database, and fourth thing what we have done is created Java class and mapped with DB table. That is also very important. In the fifth, what we have done, fifth thing what we can create is the repository interface. Repository interface by extending the CRUD repository and we have called those method like save, find all. This method we have tested as of now. Then finally we have created in the 6-point service class and injected repository class, repo class interface bean to call methods. Okay, so we have injected it, and then after we call it, and then after finally we tested service class method. Okay, so finally what we have done, test the service class method by main method. Okay, we have tested it also. So those things we have done as of now. Okay, and repository annotation is optionals. I show you, right? If you see here in our class, which is interface employee repository, there is no annotations we have provided as of now. If you provide also, there is no issue. Okay, if you provide also, there is no issue. You can run your application, it will work fine, but it's a optional, so no need to provide it. If you go and mouse over it, it will show you unnecessary. Okay, it's working fine, right? You can see the data. If you go here and if you mouse over on it, it's saying like unnecessary repository, not required it. Okay, so better to remove it also. So we have removed it, this, and this is the project which we have created, and we try to understand how we can start working with the Spring Data JPA. Spring Data JPA. So this is the entity class. I hope it's clear for everyone. Entity annotation to represent as a entity class, table annotation to map with the table name, column annotation map with the column ID, column name, column annotation map with the table column name, and @ID to make this column as a primary key. That's it. Those things we have done. Then after we have created some service classes. Based on the service classes, we have injected the employee repo, and from the employee repo we can get all those CRUD repository methods, and with that we call the methods and we have saved our data. And these service classes we have called from our test class, and from the test class we have called those things and we have done those things. So this is the basic things which I have done, and I will show you. Later we can discuss each and everything, and we try to understand like how it's working exactly, and all those method also we can discuss it. Okay, thank you so much.